Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. I wanted to start 2020 off with a bang, so I decided to cover something a little bit special. This is the Blanton's Gold Edition, a 51.5% ABV Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey from Buffalo Trace.
Hey there, buddy, are you doing all right? I'm doing great, as a matter of fact. I'm on the road. Yeah.
Blanton's is a really well-known name in the bourbon world, and because of this, it's lent itself to becoming a bit scarce. Now, a lot of Buffalo Trace products kind of go through this. You got even, Weller. Weller is hugely known to just be really hard to find, and Blanton's is also in the same boat. Now, here's the problem. It's not unjustified. This is really, really good juice. Not just this, but the regular Blanton's. And because of that, its scarcity has led to a lot of resellers. And resellers are basically the worst kinds of people. So they just ruin almost every hobby. And, when you see prices of just regular Blanton's going for north of $80 to even $100, it just makes you wonder what the heck people are doing, right? So anyway, now that my little rant's over, let's talk about the Blanton's Gold Edition. So this is a really special bottle to me, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is this is not really available in the US. There's three types of Blanton's that end up going overseas, and oddly enough, a good percentage of them end up getting shipped right back into the country, just re-imported, which is just silly. Come on, just sell them in the country. But anyway, so I had assumed I would never really have this bottle. But one of my viewers, his name's Eric, and he is a scholar and a gentleman, he sent me this bottle for review purposes. He really, really liked it and wanted me to have a bottle of it. So thank you, Eric, you are the man. All right, so this is 51.5% ABV, 103 proof, and it is chill filtered. Really kind of surprising, right? So I was surprised when I read that, but then when I started thinking about it, this is one hell of a naked bottle. There is almost no labeling on here, and if this was at all hazy, sitting on a shelf, that would look unappealing to some people. Certainly people who are not as into whiskey as presumably you and I. So I don't agree with the practice in general, but I totally understand why they did it. So, it is what it is. This is made from the number 2 mash bill. At least all of this is assumed, but pretty sure. This is made of the number 2 mash bill, which is 12 to 15% rye, 5% malted barley, and 80 to 83% corn. Now it uses the number 4 char, or also known as alligator char, by the way that it ends up looking kind of like alligator skin. And it's aged for a little over 6 years, although technically it's a no-age statement. So let's go ahead and nose and taste this and see what we're dealing with. So in case you kind of didn't get this, this is basically just a higher ABV version of the regular Blanton's. And I like when distilleries do that because it kind of gives you a fun way to compare and contrast. I was trying to get, actually, just to my point I was making earlier, after I got this, I was going to run out and go get a regular bottle of Blanton's, but couldn't find one because I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a taste test side by side. But oh well, I have a pretty good memory of it. I did end up trying some over the holidays, so I've had it within the last month or so. Anyway, let's go ahead and give this a nose. So first thing that you notice here is vanilla, and that is very common for bourbons. However, I would say it is much heavier in this bourbon than in most others. So it is definitely the leading edge. The way that it's representing itself is just classic vanilla. There's also kind of like a black cherry note going on as well. Think almost like a Luxardo, just the dark cherries that you get in a Manhattan. Little chocolate, and kind of finishing off with a honey. So basically what you're getting is you get this vanilla with a bit of fruit followed by sweetness, right? So it's pretty nice. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a taste. Now I will say this drinks hotter than 103 proof or 51.5%. It drinks pretty hot. So if this is your first drink of the night, maybe take a little sip, maybe put a little bit of water in here. I'm actually gonna do that just for this review. But let's go ahead and taste it. Cheers. So once you get past that initial little hit, which thankfully this is not my first drink of the night. Side note, just for anybody who's curious, I always have a drink before I start these things because otherwise it's just way too much like pressure, you know? You gotta have a drink if you're gonna do something fun like this. So it's never my first drink. Anyway, I'm gonna add a couple drops of water while I talk about this. So one of the things that I get right off the bat is a little bit of that influence of the rye, which for such a small, well, I shouldn't say small because technically they're higher rye mash bill, but I mean, you're talking 12%. It's got a heavy rye influence. So vanilla comes out once again. It's got that drying sensation that you get on bourbons occasionally, and especially high ABV. So let's go ahead and try another taste. Water does help this one quite a bit. There are significantly more flavors that come out once you've added a couple drops of water. And I always start with 3. I don't know about you guys. If you do, I'm actually curious, when you guys add water to your whiskeys, how much water do you typically add right when you first start out? Go ahead and leave something in the comments for me. I'm just curious to know what the range is out there. All right, so anyway, the taste here, you've got pepper, you've got a little bit of chocolate, you got that rye, you got vanilla, and some people say that they can taste tobacco in this. I attribute that more to the drying sensation that you get and some of the rye. I find that when a higher ABV tastes a bit more like rye, I believe that's the tobacco that some people say that they taste. But you guys might taste it, I don't personally. So let's talk overall, because always good to know where we're gonna land on something like this. There is a bit of hype to this bottle mentally, so I personally tried to get past that. I tried to say, okay, even though this is a special bottle, this is exciting, let me give it a fair review. Is this something that I would personally buy? And the price of this bottle is easily twice that of the normal Blanton's. Now, Blanton's MSRP is roughly about $60. So you're looking at least $100 to $110 for this bottle outside of the US. When you consider re-importing it, I mean, you could be spending $150 to way more on this bottle. That is if you can even get it. You know, you gotta find somebody to take the import for you. So this is hard to get. So that factors into it. Now, is this worth, let's just even go like, let's say you can make the stars align here. Is this worth $100? Reluctantly, I would say no. And the reason for that is a couple of points. I feel like even though it's higher ABV, it's not considerable over the regular Blanton's. It's only about 10 proof, about 10 proof, 10 ABV, 92, yeah, like 10 proof higher, so like 5% higher. It's not that much more. And the taste is, to be frank, it was a little off-putting at first. I tried this with a couple of people when I first cracked the bottle open, and all 3 of us were surprised that we didn't like it more. We really all wanted to love this. Here's the thing. It did grow on me. It was once again a symptom of that very first sip was just really hot, and it was unexpected. But once I added a little bit of water, and once I had a couple of these, I started to like this a lot more. Started to like it a lot more. Now, that's where I'm struggling. And I realize I'm kind of hemming and hawing here. I'm actually even thinking differently than what I planned on saying here. I think it's not necessarily worth that amount of money. But if you are a person who doesn't mind paying for premium bourbon, then it is potentially worth that kind of money. When I think about a whiskey that's over $100, I expect it to just be amazing. It should be, you know, like pouring itself in the glass for me. It should be giving me a back rub telling me everything's okay. It should be, you know, giving me a cigar. It should be doing everything and making my world better. And this does not do that for me. So my recommendation to you is try this at a bar. If this is worth it to you as far as money goes, or if you're used to spending a little bit more on a premium product, then go for it. If you kind of mentally can't bring yourself to spend more than $60 on a bourbon, either for financial or just like kind of the principle of the thing, which is fair. You know, you're in the US, presumably. You should not be spending that much on bourbon because it's just within the country. Then don't buy it, you know? Stick with the regular Blantons. You're going to love the regular Blantons. You're gonna spend half. You could buy 2 of those bottles for it. And, you know, in general, it's, I don't know. I'm happy I have this, but I would not purchase this with my own money. There is one more thing worth mentioning, and the Whisky Exchange. So in my research here, I found a review on the Whisky Exchange, specifically 100 reviews, and every single one was a 5 out of 5. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life for any product review ever. So I don't know. That's interesting to me. It could be my own tastes. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, or maybe, I shouldn't say wrong, but maybe my tastes in this case are not in line with most others. But yeah, doesn't get my recommendation. It gets a try it to a buy it, depending on your own personal financial situation. So thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please make sure to check out thewhiskeydictionary.com. There's all kinds of good stuff up there, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.